Hi everyone, welcome. It's Juliet here, and today we are going to be learning how to make this very pretty earring, which I am calling the pendulum earring because of the shape of it reminds me of the pendulum in a clock. So this earring is made using supplies that came in the Mocha Latte beads collection Lite from Eureka Crystal Beads that just came out on Monday. So we're going to be using these cool browns and creams and gunmetal colors to make this, but you can obviously change up the colors if you prefer something different. If you are interested in the collection, I will also put a link for that down below, and I will link all the individual materials that I am using as well. They do still have them in stock as of this time, but who knows how much longer. Okay, so let's quickly run through the materials. So today I'm using some 1G thread in this kind of beige color. It just felt like it would blend in with most of the beads, so I'm using that. You're going to need an 8mm Chaton. So this is the smoky quartz color. And this is a Krakovski crystal from Eureka. Then you're going to need, for each earring, I'm using one faceted 4mm gemstone. These are agate gemstones. They come in all different colors. I picked out two that I liked. That just goes right at the top there. So yeah, you don't need a lot. You just need one of each. If you don't have a gemstone, you could substitute maybe a 4mm bicone that would match with your crystal, or a 4mm round crystal that would match again with your Chaton. So it's up to you what you want to use there. Then we got these really pretty 3mm Czech Druks. This is the Luster Opaque Champagne. I'm using 4, and you can see them there. Okay, you are going to need 6 Crescent beads. This is the Satin Metallic Gunmetal color. Okay, and then these are some 4mm pearls. This is the Krakovski pearl. These are black. Okay, so black pearl. You're obviously going to need an earring finding, and then I am using some seed beads out of the Mocha Latte seed bead mix that we got. So the ones that I'm using our 3mm Bugle bead, our 8/0, which is this gray silver lined color, and then for the 11/0 I'm using this one. We did get a kind of beige color as well, but that's the one I'm using. And then I'm using both of the colors of 15/0 that we got, so a kind of pearly white color, and also the one that matches with the 11/0. So you're going to need an assortment of 3mm bugles and an 8/0, 11/0, and a couple different 15/0s, okay? To begin, you're going to go ahead and string on about 3 feet, I would say, of your thread, and leave yourself a 4-inch tail at the end that you can weave in. Okay, so to begin, we're going to pick up a 4mm pearl, and then an 8/0, and then a 4mm pearl, and an 8/0, a 4mm pearl, an 8/0, and a 4mm pearl, and one more 8/0. Okay, so this is what we have. You're going to push it all down, and just go ahead and sew through all of those beads again in order to form it into a circle. So remember, when you are doing this, that you are going to be sewing through from the short end. So start where you've pushed your beads down almost to the end, you've left your tail. Make sure you're going in that end there, because if you go in the other end, guess what happens? All the beads fall off again. Okay, So you should have a loop of thread like this, okay? And you're going to pass through the pearl one more time, the first pearl, in order to close that up into a nice ring for us, okay? So you should now have this. Okay, we're going to pick up one of our crescent beads and laying it like this so that it's curving like a banana over the top, okay? You're going to enter into the right hand side of the bead, okay? You're then going to push it down up against our little circle that we already have here, okay? And you're going to pick up one bugle bead. You're going to push through the other hole of the crescent bead like this. Okay, so the bugle is going to kind of sit on the outside like this, and you can go ahead and budge all of that up tight together, okay? And then you're going to go into the next pearl on the circle. So what you should have in the end is one crescent attached on like this with a bugle on the outside. Okay, so I'll do it one more time for you. We're going to do it a total of 4 times. So I'll just show you again. So get your crescent bead, go into the right hand side, push it down up against your square. Okay, pick up a bugle, go through the other hole of the crescent, and then you're going to go through the next pearl. And pull it up so that it's nice and tight against your square. You're going to do 2 more sides in the same way. So again, pick up another crescent facing the same way, going into the right one, and a bugle. Push it all down. And then go back through the crescent and through the next pearl. Okay. Give it a pull, and then we need to do one more side the same way. So when you have finished that, we should have a shape that looks like this. Okay? Okay, so I'm coming out of this pearl right here at the corner. I'm going to pick up 2 of my kind of brown 15-0s, one cream colored 15-0, and 2 brown. 2 brown 15s, 1 cream, and 2 brown 15s. And I'm coming out this pearl, going in this direction. I'm going to go through the same pearl again. And through the next 8-0 as well. So I'm going through this pearl and the 8-0, and this will make a little loop on top like this, okay? Go ahead and move through the next pearl as well. Okay, and we're going to pick up the same thing. So you're going to pick up 2 brown, 1 white, and 2 brown 15s. And again, you're going to go through the same pearl that your thread is coming out from to make that little loop that goes over the top, okay? And then you're going to go through the next 8-0 and the next pearl to get in position to do the next loop. Pick up the same group of 15-0s. Again, go through the pearl then through the 8 and the next pearl. And one more time, you're going to pick up the same group of 15 O's that we've already done. Okay. And you're going to go ahead and go into the pearl, through the 8O, and into the next pearl. Okay, so you should now have something that looks a bit like this. If these are a little loose, don't worry about that. We can fix that in a minute, okay? All right, so go ahead and you're exiting from one of the pearls. You're going to sew up, going back the other way over the bridge that is going over the pearl that you're exiting from. So I'm exiting from this pearl right here. I was going in this direction, okay? I'm gonna work my way backwards, so I'm gonna go over the bridge and start going back the other way. So you're gonna go up the two brown 15s and the one kind of creamy white 15, okay? Then you're gonna pick up a white 15, a bugle, and a white 15, okay? And you're gonna go straight into the next over white bead. And remember, we're going the other way now, so we're now going clockwise. Okay, pick up the same again, and go ahead and go into the next 15. And you're gonna repeat this 2 more times. And when you get back to the corner where you started, you're just gonna go through that one bead at the corner for now, okay? Just go through there. And then we're going to pop in our Chaton. So you may need to kind of loosen this out a little bit. Put your Chaton in there, okay? And then kind of pull it so that those 15s come over the edge of the Chaton, okay? Now, it may not feel very secure at the moment, and you're right, it doesn't. So what you're going to do is, holding that Chaton in place, you're coming out from the corner, go through the next 15, the bugle and the 15, but don't go into the corner 15, okay? So you're just going to go through the side beads and pull. I'm going to turn, okay? I'm going to skip this corner bead right here, and I'm just going to sew into the next side bead. So the 15, the bugle, and the 15. Okay, and just skip that corner bead. And do the same at each corner. Skip the corner bead and only go through the 15, the bugle, and the 15, and then that is going to hold in your Chaton. And I would recommend you go around twice just to make sure that everything is nice and tight, okay? So I'm just going to quickly reinforce. Okay, once that feels secure and held in, you can go ahead and sew down the beads on the side. Sew down through the corner bead and the two 15s right here, okay? And then sew forward through the pearl back in the original direction that you were working, okay? Then you can go through the crescent bead. Now, if you want to, you can go around and reinforce your crescents if they feel really loose for some reason. you can reinforce those, but if they feel like it's okay, you don't have to do that, okay? So I'm just gonna skip that right now, okay? All right, so go ahead and sew through the bugle bead on the side here, okay? You're going to pick up an 11-0, a bugle, an 8-0, a bugle, and another 11-0. Okay, so 11, bugle, 8, bugle, 11. And we're going to sew straight into the next over bugle bead. Okay, and it's going to put a little kind of corner on like that. And you're going to do that 3 more times. So 11, bugle, 8, bugle, 11. And go through the next bugle. Repeat 2 more times. Okay, so once you have gone all the way around, I highly recommend reinforcing this entire ring. It just helps to kind of make it a little bit more sturdy and also keeps it together a little bit better. Okay, so just sew all the way around each side and the corners here. Just try and keep your tail out of the way for now. Okay, once you have sewn around the outside of the ring, you can go ahead and sew up until you exit from the first 11 right before the bugle that's kind of in the middle. Okay, so this one right here. So come out from this 11. You're going to pick up a 3mm. You're going to pick up a 4mm pearl and another 3mm round. Okay, then you're going to pick up a crescent, and you have to kind of think about which way you're going here because you want your crescent to lay on the top. So I need to go through this hole here. So it depends which way you're going when you're doing this, but you want it to basically hang down like this. Okay, it's going to hang like this. So whatever way you need to pick it up so that it's hanging down like this, do that. And then you're going to pick up a 15-0, okay? And then you're going to pick up another crescent to lay next to this crescent, okay? So you want them to kind of go in the same direction like this, okay? Then you're going to pick up a 3mm, another pearl, and one more 3mm. And you're going to sew into this bead right before the corner. So you want to sew into the 11-0 and then the bugle and then the corner. Okay, so it should look like this. You're going to sew all the way around again through all the edge beads. Okay, and then you're going to sew up the 3 beads on the side that we just added here. So go through the 3mm, the pearl, and the 3mm. Go through the crescent, the 15-0, and the other crescent. Okay, so crescent, 15, and crescent. And then you're going to pick up a 15-0, an 11-0, and a 15-0. Okay, so a 15, 11, a 15. And you're going to sew into the upper hole of the crescent, going back So I'm going in this direction, I'm going back into kind of the inside here, okay? So like this, okay? Then you're gonna pick up your 4mm gemstone or a bicone or round, okay? Whatever 4mm you're using here. You're gonna pick that up and you're gonna go through the other side of the crescent, okay, like this. And then we're going to pick up the same as right here. So you're going to pick up a 15, an 11, and another 15, okay? And you're going to go through the crescent, the 15-0 in the middle, and the next crescent. And just make sure that you're actually catching that 15-0. Sometimes you think you are and your thread's actually going kind of behind it. So just make sure when you're doing this that you are actually going through that 15-0, okay? All right, then you're gonna sew up those side beads that we just added again, okay? And sew through the crescent and the gemstone or whatever 4mm bead you are using at the top here. Okay, so most of our beads are on. We only have a couple more to add. So we're going to add a little hanging loop right here, okay? And then also we are going to add right here, I added some extra bugle beads. You can see them right there to kind of connect the top and the bottom a little bit better, okay? So what we're going to do is make this little loop, okay? So to do that, first of all, what I did, if you have the collection, you're going to want to open the earring a little bit so that, you know, you can get it through your ear. And then I got some pliers, so they come open like this, okay? I went ahead and closed my loop up. So I just twist it closed, just to kind of pull it down, push it down as far down as I can get it. Okay, so once you have closed up your earring hoop, okay, you're going to pick up 7 15-0s, and I picked up the cream colored ones. Okay, so I've got 7. And you're also going to sew through the earring hole, okay, like this. And then you're going to sew again through the same gemstone in order to form a loop, like so, okay? And these will, if you pull tight enough, those will stop any thread from kind of slipping out through any gap that you may have, okay? I would go ahead and reinforce that loop right there. And we will reinforce one more time in a second, but just do one more run through right now, okay? And carry on forward through the gemstone and through the crescent. Give that a pull. Okay, make your way down through the 3 beads on the side right here, okay? And go through the bottom of the crescent, the 15-0, and the next crescent, which I'm having trouble getting into now because the angle. So I'm gonna have to do it individually. Okay, so you've gone through, we're going to go down through the first 3mm bead right here, okay? Okay, once you are coming out from the 3mm, you're going to go ahead and pick up a bugle, and you're going to go into the 8/0 that is at the top of your little square that we made, okay, right here. Okay, and you're going to pull that nice and tight, and then you're going to pick up another bugle, and you're going to go up into the 3mm on this side. And again, you're just going to pull that nice and tight, okay? So it should now look like this, okay? So these bugles should kind of sit on top of the other bugles that are already there, okay? Then you can go ahead and go up the side beads. Go through the crescent, and then go over the loop that your earring is hanging on. So go through all those cream colored 15/0s, and just be careful here. I know it's a little bit tricky because the earring's kind of in the way, so just make sure you're not catching on anything, okay? Go through all those 15/0s and then down through the crescent on the other side. Okay, all right, so now you're basically done. You just need to do any reinforcing that you feel like you want to do. If you want to, you can reinforce, like I said, the going in and out through these. So you would go up through the bugle, back through the crescent, through the pearl, this way, okay? The pearl up, out, around. If you want to do that, you can. It's up to you. Anywhere that you feel needs reinforcing, and then you're free to tie in both of your ends. So I'm going to finish that off, and then I will come back, okay? Okay, I am back, and I finished my earrings, and I think they came out very, very nice. They're kind of cool, actually. I kind of like the look of them. They're really fun, you know, and they look nice on the back as well, which is always a bonus. So I don't think these are very difficult. I think they're pretty easy. I think you should definitely give them a try if you have the crescent beads, because you know they're a lot of fun, and they do give a nice result. I like the way that this kind of almost looks like little flowers or something on the front. I think that it's really cute, and you know, the nice pearl looking accents up here. Really, really pretty. Okay, so I'm really liking this collection a lot so far. I just think the colors together look really nice. So if you are interested in getting that, like I said, I will put a link down below, and I will see you very soon for another video using this collection. Thanks guys, bye!